Hey everybody, yesterday I finished the first draft of my science fiction novel. It is 426 pages long. I'm going to take a couple weeks away from it and then print it out and read through it, not rewriting it, just reading through it, seeing what works and what doesn't, with an eye to what can be cut, how I can condense it, shorten it down. It's 426 pages. I mean, it's not unheard of for a modern sci-fi novel, but for this particular story, I think it's more than is necessary. Anyway, I told somebody, I think I said in a Gromco post, and see the description for what I'm talking about there. I mentioned that I would have the book up on Amazon, as a Kindle by the end of the year. That's not going to happen. I need to take a couple weeks away from it, let it sort of settle, and then come back to it with fresh eyes before I start editing. And then I'm going to employ some AI editing help. And then I want to do a proper book launch. I mean, if it's just a bucket list item to say, yeah, I wrote a sci-fi novel, I could just upload it right now. I could then point to it on Amazon and say, look, there's my novel. But I actually want to write another one, and I want to have a financial incentive to write a sequel to this. So I'm going to do a proper book launch. And now my YouTube diet is all about like Kindle Direct Publishing and different ways to get editing help and to format and create good titles, but mostly to get the word out, because most people write a book, they upload it to KDP, and it sits there and nobody reads it, and I don't want that to happen. Anyway, I have a new practice. My dog, who is about to turn 1 year old, she'll be one on the 20th of this month, my mother was taking her down the hill every morning. My mother's got 2 herds of cows. My mother's 84 and she still takes care of 2 herds of cows. One of them is up by the house and another one is down at the bottom of a nearby hill. And my mom was taking the dog with her, but the dog obeys me. If she's within like reach, if I can get at her, she will obey me. But if she's off on her own, off leash, she doesn't hear me calling. She runs the other direction. But when she's on the leash, she's good with me. With my mother, no. As soon as she sees a squirrel, she just bolts. My mother can't hold her, and she's off, and she's gone. So I've been going down the hill with my mother. She goes down to feed the cows every morning, and she takes the dog. And so recently, my 84-year-old mother has been taking a big load of hay down in a wheelbarrow. And here I am, big, strong, relatively young, strapping man by her side, just walking the dog and not doing the heavy lifting. But she can't walk the dog. I mean, she just can't. But down there, while my mother's feeding the cows and I'm just standing around with the dog, I have this urge to pull out my phone. It's the urge. What dopamine hit can I get? What's in my notifications? What's there? What's waiting to delight me? Some new novelty. And I have taken to resisting that urge. And every time it occurs to me to take out my phone and check it, just habitually, I ask myself, am I dreaming? What's the point? It's not that I think I'm dreaming about wanting to take out my phone. Smartphones never appear in my dreams. Half my life is lived but without cell phones, and much more than half without smartphones. My dream habits have long since been laid down, and they don't involve phones for the most part. I did dream about my dog for the first time that I remember the other night. Anyway, I'm doing this because I want to cultivate the ability to dream lucidly. Now, this was a big project of mine when I was in my late teens and early 20s, and I had some success with it then, but what I discovered is really the only way to make it happen is to keep a dream journal. And if I'm not doing that, it's not going to happen regularly. But there are other things one can do, like set reminders. You can get apps for your phone, that will send you notifications throughout the day to remind you to ask yourself if you're dreaming. I don't do these because, well, I can't really squeeze any more apps onto this phone. And also, it's not where I am. But I've just decided that anytime my phone makes a noise, anytime there's any, beep or whatever noises it makes, chirps, that's my cue to ask myself, am I dreaming? And what do I do to check? Well, the best thing to do really is to look at something that's printed, look away and look back. If you're in a dream, the words will have changed by the time you've looked back. Another thing that I do is ask myself the date. If it's a dream, I'm typically not aware of the date, and I could be much younger in a dream. My kids could be much younger. You know, my father, who is now has long since dead, could be alive in a dream. If I ask myself the date, then I can start interrogating my surroundings for consistency, and I will, you know, discover that I'm dreaming. Another thing I like to do is look at the horizon, because typically in dreams I get all caught up in something that's right in front of me. You know, situations, interactions with the characters, your dream characters. Just everything is immediate and demands my immediate attention. But if I stop and I look at the horizon, that's just something I really only ever do in real life. And if I do it in a dream, I can tell looking at the horizon that things aren't steady, you know, that they're shifting around, they're morphing as I look. And so this hasn't paid off yet. I've not had a recent dream or a lucid dream in recent history, but if I do, I'll let you know. Maybe not here because I'm not doing so much on YouTube these days, but over on Gromco or on Patreon, or, you know, I've been writing this novel for months, which means I get up and, you know, I write for 3-4 hours every morning. I'm continuing to do that even though I'm not writing the novel now. So I'm going to be putting a lot of stuff up on Patreon and on Substack. So you will find links to all those places where I post in the, I was going to say the show notes, because that's what I said for years on a podcast, in the video description below. All right, catch you later.